Hello, Newsmark viewers. How are you doing? I hope you're healthy and well. As Newsmark team, we continue to share with you the developments regarding the Russia-Ukraine war. In a moment, we will share with you the details about a very critical development on the front line. Again, there is an important destruction development. The successful tactic of the Ukrainian armed forces are yielding results, and the Ukrainian armed forces, which continue their struggle in every field, are making an intense effort to disturb the logistic structure of the Russian army. This effort seems to be yielding results at many points, at least the developments confirms this. So in the past days, another Russian convoy was making an intensive shipment to the front line, and this shipment included a large number of ammunition to hit the Ukrainian targets. However, the Ukrainian armed forces noticed this shipment by the Russian army and immediately launched an operation. The operation that took place contains very interesting details. There is a great deal of tension and anger in the Russian army and the Russian war riders. So what are the latest developments on this subject? Let's examine them together. Before moving on to our report, I should make a small reminder. As Newsmark team, we strive to bring you the latest developments in Russia-Ukraine war, so don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so that you don't miss our daily reports and explanations. I also read all of your comments on our videos. Please continue to share your ideas about our content in the comments with us, and tell us in the comments what content you would like to see on the Newsmark channel. Let's start if you are ready. Newsmark reports. Obviously, the war between Russia and Ukraine is in full swing, and thanks to the epic resistance of the Ukrainian armed forces, the Russian armed forces are running out of stocks. Heavy losses and severe problems are forcing the Russian armed forces to use more and more ammunition, and the intensive use of ammunition by the Russian armed forces leads to a constant depletion of stocks and constant deliveries to the front line. This is perhaps one of the most important stages of this resistance. The superiority established by the Ukrainian army is showing itself. As the loss of ammunition by the Russian armed forces increases, the problems become more acute, and this pits Russian nationalists, especially pro-war extremists, against Putin, the president of the Russian Federation. So Vladimir Putin is furious. Both the opposition against him and the failure to achieve the desired successes in the war are important factors that increases his anger. Moreover, despite all the losses, the demands of the Russian commanders from the Russian administration don't end. We can say that there have been more developments on this issue as well. We will share these developments with you in the following sections of our report. According to reports, there is a great deal of tension between the Russian commanders and the president of the Russian Federation, Putin. And this tension is reflected on the battlefield. One of the consequences of this tension in the Russian convoy that the Ukrainian armed forces recently destroyed on its way to the front line, and the Russian armed forces lost a large convoy. So according to the information from the regional sources, a Russian supply convoy of 4 vehicles was moving towards the front line. And according to the same sources, all 4 vehicles were loaded with ammunition. A large amount of ammunition was on its way to be delivered to the Russian soldiers who were trapped on the front line and suffering heavy casualties. This was a vital delivery. And according to reports from the regional sources, this delivery was intended for the Russian offensive units in Kharkiv, which were trapped on the front line. As well, it is known the Russian armed forces opened a new front and tried to break the perception of the Russian army casualties by launching an offensive from the Kharkiv. But even in this way, they did not succeed, because the resistance of the Ukrainian armed forces was strong, and so was intelligence. After Ukrainian intelligence detected the shipment for the Russian army, action was taken immediately and the operation began. When Ukrainian intelligence detected the Russian military convoy, it had not yet left. Therefore, the Ukrainian armed forces had a good chance to prepare, and they made good use of this chance until this moment. After the unmanned aerial vehicles operators of the Ukrainian armed forces had made all their preparations, the convoy set off. That happened at exactly the same time, and there was a great deal of activity in the command of the Ukrainian armed forces. This was a harbinger of a major operation, and the Ukrainian intelligence knew every detail about the Russian army, while the Russian intelligence did not. And this was dragging the Russian convoy towards a step-by-step destruction. According to the regional sources, Russian armored vehicles were advancing at high speed, with kamikaze unmanned aerial vehicles of the Ukrainian armed forces launched a massive attack. And during this attack, a route of passage of the vehicles was first destroyed. And in this way, even if the attack had failed, the vehicle would not have been allowed to reach the front line. After that, other unmanned aerial vehicle of the Ukrainian armed forces took action and managed to destroy 4 Russian armored vehicles with their ammunition. The vehicles started to burn as the ammunition inside them exploded. And after this attack, the protection vehicles started to return quickly. There is a talk of losses in excess of millions of dollars. The Ukrainian armed forces carried out a joint operation with the Ukrainian intelligence and made history with this operation. With this highly successful operation, it was once again revealed that the Russian armed forces don't master the most basic military rules. Therefore, they are suffering loss after loss, and the Russian army is not as big as it made out to be, nor does it have as big and powerful an intelligence operation as it is made out to be. So the situation is now hitting Vladimir Putin like a slap in the face. As I've mentioned at the beginning of this report, Putin's slaps are, of course, not limited to the developments on the front line. A very interesting allegation has emerged recently, according to this claim. The Kremlin had one of the most active nights in its history. It was claimed that the Russian commanders and Vladimir Putin met in a private meeting and discussed some issues. This is quite usual, but there is something unusual, and that is the fierce argument between the Russian commanders and Russian leader Putin. So according to the allegations, the Russian commanders, especially those in charge of the areas with high casualties, made several statements emphasizing that it was time to withdraw. And the statements angered Russian leader Putin, who reportedly responded to the Russian commanders as follows. Casualties are not more important than our future. Don't even think about retreat. We have no choice but to advance further. With these statements, we can say that the Russian leader Putin fears that withdrawal would lead to the loss of his power. But in doing so, Putin does not hesitate to exterminate Russian citizens. This has completely damaged the unity in Russia. So what do you think? What do you think about the kamikaze unmanned aerial vehicles attacks by the Ukrainian troops? And how do you think the tension between the Russian commanders and Putin will affect the Russian military? Let me know in the comments, because I read and I care a lot about all of your comments.